Welcome to Chok Muay Chats, episode 30. A very special edition this evening, the roadside edition. I'm here with Aussie legend of Muay Thai, man of many talents, the notorious NUGGET, Nugget McNaught. Thanks for coming on, sir.
You're welcome, Jay.
Thanks for coming on. Now, I suppose we'll get into the nitty and gritty of it. I just have to have a look at some of my topics. I wanted to talk a little bit more about your perspective on the industry from the old times and the industry now, because a lot has changed over the last 20 years, but especially in the last 3 years. You know, we've seen Muay Thai just globalize and expand, but with that comes a lot of challenges as well. I think a lot of what we would say authentic fighters are starting to die out a little bit.
Yeah.
So I suppose my first question is you've been a trainer of some amazing fighters, Dane, Kool, Soren Mongkongtong, one of the, as you said, the first foreigner to fight on Channel 7.
Yeah.
What are some of the traits that you think make a champion?
I think having a love for the sport is definitely, that's the first. You've got to really want to do it. Yeah. I think two, you have to have a mindset of this is what I'm going to do. Doesn't matter how much money I'm going to make. Doesn't matter what's going on in my life. This is my job and this is what I've got to do. I think too many guys these days, they jump in the sport and think they're like the be all to end all, but really they're just doing it as a hobby. You know what I mean? But they're called professional fighters. Man, it's hard because everyone needs money to live. But sometimes you've got to go through the hard times. You know, everyone's looking for that fast money. You go on social media, everyone's saying, do this and you're going to make this much money, and why you want to work all day? Why do you want to do this? Man, what have all any of these grunts done? Like if you look at their pages or you look at their stuff, they haven't done anything. And it's the same as fighters these days. Every fighter wants this much money. They want the most money. They want this. But what do? Do you sell tickets? No. Do you do? I think it's one of those things that's always going to be around, where people think they're better than what they are.
Do you think that's because of social media? Do you think that's played a big part in it?
Social media is definitely, look, it's done great things for fighting, fight sport, Muay Thai, MMA, everything. Yeah. But it's also done some weird things. You know yourself, Joe, anyone that's watching this, if you see some of the guys, what they put up and they think, fuck, what is it? What are you doing?
Yeah. Do you think, one question I wanted to ask you was about heart. You know, you've trained some amazing fighters throughout the years. Do you think fighters are born with heart, or do you think you can train heart?
Look, I can use myself. I had massive confident issues when it come to ties. I'd beat all the Aussies, knock them out, do whatever. When it come to ties, I just had a mental block in my head where I respected them too much. And I guess they were the boogeyman that you can't beat them, you can't beat them. But I think in time, when I see all this stuff and the people say, you can't build heart, we actually can to a degree. If you can build mental strength, that's what carries your body. Your heart, people talk about love. I've got a mate, George, that will talk for hours about this. Yeah. Your heart, yes, it's your heart, and they say it's about love and that, but your heart is in your body to pump blood around it. It's your mind that you have to control, and your mind that you have to be the master of to get victories or to get success in life. If you're scared of things, you're never going to ever beat it, and you're never going to grow. If you can build your mind, and I'm not talking about crazy kung fu shit. I'm saying if you can build your mind, and I think a big thing is discipline. I think even as I get older, if I say, I'm going to go for a walk in the morning, and then I don't, I've actually lied to myself. So I've weakened myself. So you got to look at life like, if you say you're going to do something, your mind, even if you're sick, get out of bed. It's like my old gym. Yeah. The boys, I run a big gym now where there's a lot of boxers, MMA fighters, everything. But the sick card, everyone pulls the, I was sick. Well, at my old gym, we had a seat and you had to come and sit on that seat. And I'd tell you whether, oh yeah, you're sick, go home. Don't get anyone else sick. I think people, I'm not just saying this because I'm old, people aren't as tough anymore. People aren't as hard, I think.
Yeah.
Like they're always looking for the easiest way. Like these guys on the social media, do this and you're going to get this. How about just go to work, cunt? How about just go to work and work hard and get what you need?
Yeah, I feel like there's a bit of an over complication nowadays with being a fighter. You know, it's like on social media, I keep seeing all these people saying, you've got to ice bath, you've got to do all this, you've got to have your nutrition in check. Yes, you do, but what about just going for a run? What about doing the fundamental stuff, you know?
Running something of the past with some of these fighters, I think. What they forget is your legs, it doesn't matter what discipline you do, whether it's boxing, whether it's Muay Thai, whether it's MMA, your legs are what carry you through that fight. So if you haven't got strong legs, you ain't getting through the fight. That's in my opinion. Also, going back to what you said, like everyone have got strength conditioning trainers. Man, you've had 2 fights. What do you need a strength and conditioning trainer for? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not bagging strength and conditioning, all of that stuff. But what I'm saying is there's a certain point in your career when you need that. At the beginning of your career, you definitely just need a fucking big ticker and a bit of how do you say it? Like you want it. You got to want it.
Yeah, Jaden from Peasy's gym, from Strikeforce, he did that funny reel where he said about amateur fighters, you shouldn't worry about, Mickey Mouse belts. You shouldn't worry about strength and conditioning. You should just worry about winning fights, you know? That's the first focus you should be as an amateur. Now, moving on from fighters, well, actually, I just wanted to get your perspective now. You were talking about Thais being the boogeyman back in the day. Do you think that's such a big thing now? Because I feel like now we're starting to see, with Muay Thai grow more popular, we're starting to see a lot of strong foreigners. They might not have all the technical ability or the IQ, but they're certainly coming in fitter and hungrier.
I actually feel, and this is not bagging any of the new fighters or anything, I feel the generation of Thais that I fought, and John Wayne went on to beat them and whatever, I believe those Thais were stronger and hungrier than the new Thais. Man, I think some of them, social media, you don't even see Thais really on social media, but they're online, they're on all these different other apps. I think it's like anything. At this stage, yes, there's still some great Thais. There's no doubt about it. But I feel the standard of Thai boxing in Thailand, and even if you look at, if I sit in my lounge room last Friday night, I sat and watched 1FC on Friday night. As I'm sitting there watching, like they're tough, but the little gloves and the 3 rounds fights. Man, all that's done is made them go crazy and just run across the ring, getting crazy. They're not doing what they used to do, just sitting back, chopping your leg, like dissecting you to pieces. And I'm not talking about Super Bond dudes like that. Man, they're like gods here. But I'm talking about the new guys that like a big name. I see some of them, man, get knocked out and think, fuck, he'll never fight again. That'll be the last fight.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things about the small gloves is it's a big equalizer. It's not like other traditional formats where you can have a stadium champion and they'll smash you. Those 4 ounce gloves, if you go up against a good puncher,
you see the difference, Joe, because I don't really watch Thai boxing that much in Australia. I'm not saying I'm a hater, but like, man, I'm over it. I watched the best era of Thai boxing, I think, when I came through, and the boys were all fighting Preachers, all of those guys. And it's not that they were the best fighters, but they fucking give it a go. They go for it. And I look at Friday night 1FC, it's knockout, 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 knockout. And then I look at RWS, and it's still Thai boxing. It's real Thai boxing, but it's still different to what I feel I grew up watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see the evolution of it all.
Yeah. Man, if you took me back 20 years ago and said there's going to be 3-round fights in Thailand, there's going to be little gloves, I would have said, fucking no way there is. The Thais wouldn't let it. I
Yeah.
remember you couldn't even, it comes back to that same thing, everything growing, changing.
Yeah.
Like life's always going to change. That's something I've accepted as I've got older. But I believe that some things don't always change for the good, man.
Yeah. Now, just speaking of evolution,
Yeah.
now to this day, I still think it's probably one of the best promotions that Australia has ever seen. I mean, if we look at the names that were on those cards, the amount of cards that were done back in it when I believe Australian Muay Thai was at its peak back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
You had TV deals.
Yeah.
What do you think promoters in Australia specifically need to do now to even match the legacy that Evolution created?
Look, I don't want to. I don't want to get to sit on the high horse and say,
No,
"Well,
yeah.
you got to do this and you should
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it." I'm not here to do that, man. Maybe I was lucky enough to be at a time where we did it.
Yeah.
But I think in looking at the shows now and the shows then, the difference is everyone now just wants to be a promoter to make money. Me and Josh Exon loved it. Like, of course, Josh is the money man. I was the showman. I believe that we actually love doing it and helping those dudes, something that we never got. We never had a promoter do that. It's a little bit like Tarek Solak. People used to bag Tarek Solak to the shit. He's a no good cunt, this and that. He was actually a great guy. He actually he actually took the sport to a level where everyone wanted to say, "Fuck yeah, that's Matty." Wait, the indoor fireworks, all the things that he did.
The pyrotechnics.
Man, me and Josh got ideas from Japanese shows and Tarek Solak. It's simple, and I think people forget that it's not always about being number one.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about just enjoying what you're doing and having that thing of like, I don't know, like success comes in different ways. Some people, they need money to make themselves successful and feel, not make, feel the success. We actually enjoyed seeing how much the fighters loved it and how much the crowd loved it, and we probably got off on that. It wasn't about, obviously we made money from it, but yeah, I don't know. Like as far as these days, like Sai's doing a good job. I see what other show? The 17 whatever. 1774. I've never been to one, but it looks like good promotions, good matchups, and that. I look at one of my best mates is Paul DeMacoli.
Yep.
Man, he went from doing 3 shows a year to doing 1 show a year, and now he can hardly even get, because fighters just are absolutely crazy these days and want this much money. They want that. They want, man, start somewhere. Like, don't make. This is the part I think about fighters and that with shows. You should earn that money. You should earn it by selling tickets. You should earn it by putting on a show, a performance. You should earn it by demonstrating good Muay Thai. If people are paying to see Muay Thai, they should be getting Muay Thai. If they're paying to get MMA, that's what they should get. It's people get too ahead of themselves and want to have. I see it with fighters and sponsors.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And going back to what made the shows differently, and I know it's a topic that everyone's going to say, Nugget's just a bikie, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But man, everyone bags the bikies. They were the cunts that buying the tickets for the shows, buying the tables, and that paid the money to put on the big shows. Everyone wants to ban the bikies, ban this. Man, if I get it, if you don't like them, you don't like them. But if they're helping put on the show, why would you ban them? Why would you ban them? And it's just crazy. It's the world's gone crazy. If you look at like, whoever thought Donald Trump would be doing what he's doing and saving America and all that. Like the world's just gone crazy, and it comes back to one platform, social media. So really, like, I could go on all night about it. There's a million things. I actually just think I was a lucky person. Josh was a lucky person. We were at a good time. yes, we worked hard to do what we did, and yes, we put in heaps of effort, but I don't sit here every day saying, "Oh fuck, no one's ever gonna beat Evo." I don't care. Let it go. Like I had my time, and I wish any promoter success and to make the sport better, because that's what promoting is. It's supposed to make things better.
Yeah. Now, just moving on from that thought, we're talking about how promoters can move on, but how do you actually see the state of Australian Muay Thai right now? I mean, for me, I feel like Australian Muay Thai is probably the home of Muay Thai outside of Australia. On par with England in terms of the amount of promotions that are on. Maybe not. People are going to hate me for this.
Welcome to the club,
yeah,
Joe.
yeah. Not in terms of the levels of the fighters, because a lot of fighters aren't fighting outside of their backyard. And this is one issue that I have with a lot of Australian fighters, is they're not coming over here, they're not going overseas. A lot of them are just fighting the same people.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And not getting any better, and giving a reason for people to pay attention.
I'm going to use Jaden from Peasy's Gym as an example here. Jaden had some good wins and he had some good some good wins and some bad losses as he's coming through the ranks. But now you can't deny that he's good. The cunt's good. He's a good fighter. Whether you say he's this or that, man, he's going out of Gold Coast. Going into other countries. Russia, the Russian fight was a mad fight. Like he's fighting people abroad. That's you're supposed to conquer your state, then you conquer your nation, and then you go abroad. Some of these dudes aren't getting the script, and they're thinking I'm the king because I had 2 fights and won and no one beat me, bro. You fight long enough, someone's going to beat you. Going back to the boxing, it's this is keeping the zero and all that. The best thing that I ever read on social media was when that Sheik dude said, "We're going to stop that. We're going to make it." Man, look at Rocky. Rocky's a perfect example in Muay Thai and boxing. Man, there's always going to be a loser. If 2 people fight, one person's going to win, one person's going to lose. I feel, taking it back to when you say about evolution and what made it special, it was because we had guys that didn't care what your record was, what your rank was, they just wanted to fight you because we heard, this guy's good, well, I'll fight him. John Wayne, perfect example. Preacher, perfect example. Warren Elson, perfect example. Soren, perfect. Man, these guys didn't say no to fights. They just fought, because if that was the best guy, you fought him.
Records are for DJs.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
That's a crap. I've never heard it, but it's a cracker. It's a cracker saying.
Now, just speaking about Rocky Ogden, he's one of the fighters that have made the transition to boxing. Do you think? What do you think about Thai boxers now making the transition to boxing or MMA due to the financial constraints? And how do you think we can inject money to make fighters' purses go higher?
Look, I'm going to take it back again to 20, 30 years ago. Everybody knows Samson.
Yeah.
What did he do when he finished Thai boxing? He went to boxing. And that was the progression back in the day.
Yep.
Their bodies were sore from Thai boxing, but they were still tough and they still had fight in them. So then they went on to do the boxing thing.
Yeah.
I feel that Rocky, he wasn't forced into boxing, but he read the play a little bit. I got to give it to him. He tried out MMA. He probably thought, fuck, I didn't get paid that much.
Yeah.
And tough, think. Good, man, 15 minutes, 5-minute rounds with the little gloves on. Man, you want to get paid if you're doing that. Yeah. I've got one boy, Dimps Gillies. It's tough as fuck, like one of the toughest dudes around. But man, sometimes I think, fuck, is that all you get paid? And that's no attack on any promoter. That's no attack on anyone. It's just life, man. I think people forget what these fighters go through to get to where they're going. And getting back to why do they do it? The money. Rocky's obviously chasing the American dream, world champion. You look even Jazzy Palm. Yeah. Going to boxing. It's the money. You get paid. look at fucking Eddie Hearn. Who's going to pay him more? Fucking, I don't know, like Andrew Parnham, that they don't have that money. The promoters in Australia don't have the money, but that's not. It's like a dog chasing the tail.
Yeah.
Like you got to have the money from the sponsors to pay. I get all of that, but I feel that thing of boxing, it should be looked upon like a transition. We should never look at it like, oh fuck, they dogged Muay Thai. They went to box. Man, you got to feed your family at the end of the day. So it's a hard one.
And I also think like you can only do something for passion for so long until sort of reality hits, and it's like, oh yeah, I've actually got to keep my lights on. I've actually got to pay for my car.
Yeah.
Like life, especially now, is hard. Like costs money.
Yeah.
And you got to chase the bag sometimes.
Yeah. Not chase the bag.
No, not chase
but the bag.
Not that bag.
The bag of money.
Yeah. We're good. We're all good boys here. Now, also one of the questions I wanted to ask you. I asked you what makes a good champion, but what makes a good trainer? What do you think makes a good trainer? You've trained hundreds of fighters.
I've trained heaps of fighters, and I've been, if I've got to take my hat off to myself, because I have been around the world. I fucking stayed in Germany. I stayed, done a lot of trips in Europe. I've been all over Asia. I don't think another trainer in Australia will ever hit my resume.
Yeah.
National coach Singapore team, national coach Malaysian team, TV show Challenger, and it was Emmy and Award nominated. This and that. Look at that stupid one Kaylee Reese did. It didn't even get. No one even knew it was on. But getting away from that. I think what makes a good trainer is someone that loves the sport and also loves their boys. And girls, I get it. I think it's that thing. Some dudes think they're better than what they are, and some dudes probably are better than what they are. It comes down to, when you see shows when they say, "Oh, don't be scared, just do it." Sometimes you can't follow the crowd. Sometimes through my travels through Asia and through Europe and that, I realize, man, don't try to. It's like, guys, I just seen a thing from Henry Hoof today when I showed you that thing. It was one of the most truest things about fighting and about, you train them and then something goes wrong and then suddenly you're the worst person on two legs walking around. Man, fighters have to see what their trainers do for them. And I'm not talking, just because I buy you lunch and because I give you money, that doesn't make me a good trainer. And just because, a good trainer gets up, holds pads, keeps concern about his boy, doesn't overmatch him, doesn't works with him slowly. If they do have that kind, I go back to my thing. I'm fighting Thais back in the day. They'd call me out, Nugget McNaught or Kerry McNaught, whatever, and say, this many fights, 12 fights, versus Wichanoi Sword Chitlada, 248 fights. Bro. And I look at my corner, the trainers weren't even thinking that then. And the advice should get in the corner, just keep punching or do, come on, man, give me some sort of strategy or something. And it wasn't there. It's not the old trainers' fault, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be. It's like a thing that's it's growing all the time. Fighters, trainers, everybody's growing. Like you say, what makes a good trainer? Definitely not someone that you read on Instagram that says fighter trainer. If I see one more 19-year-old that says fighter trainer, yes, I was a fighter trainer when I'm young. But that's because there wasn't the amount of gyms and there wasn't the knowledge and
there wasn't the people to do it.
Right? So you had to put on the both hats. But now I see it and think, what the fuck do you know, kid? You've fucking done it. You've never been out of Brisbane, let alone the Gold Coast is a big trip to you. And I see them walk around the fights and that. That's why I don't go to the fights anymore. I went to a few fights when I first went back to Australia and thought, I'm going to end up in jail because I'm going to end up bashing someone there.
Yeah, I remember the last podcast you did, you were saying, people forget that I've been going to the fight since I was
15 years old, man.
Yeah, 15.
I'm 54 this year. I see these dudes and they give me the big. And I always think to myself, I know a lot of people probably know Cedric. I had a mate that was Tongan, and he's a tough cunt, like a bad boy.
Yeah.
I just think if that cunt walked in the fights and saw someone do that to me, he's attacking him, because he had that respect for me as his trainer and as his big brother. I just think people walk around now thinking they know a lot more, and that something owes them. What is it called? The word entitlement, self-entitled. All these young cunts, man, do your time. You know what I mean? You don't have to come up and lick my ass and be up my ass, but at least say hello, Nugget. Don't fucking nod your head at me like we're equals, because we're fucking not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny the entitlement of the sort of like the coming generations. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot in my content. I talk a lot about people doing their time.
Yeah.
Going out to the sticks in Nissan and doing their time out there. Don't expect to come over here and get massive opportunities straight away. It doesn't work that way. You got to do your time. You know?
I always look at Tyson Harrison. Man, he trains in a rough, rugged gym where Rocky used to train as well. Man, that cunt does it hard. He earns his thing. He builds his thing. Goes, man, I saw the cunt walking around with 2 broken hands. Like guys like that. Too many people think they're Tyson Harrison because they come here for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, man, live here. Like, do your thing. It's not about hotels, and it goes back to what we originally talked about. People are talking about money. Already they're thinking about money. The world's so driven by money. And I can't talk Gucci bags, whatever, gold. But man, everything I walk around with, I believe I earned in my commitment to the belief I had, not only in fighting, but in myself.
Yeah.
I didn't just get all this shit. No one just gave it to me. I had to earn it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you got to earn your stripes.
Yeah.
You got to earn the things that you work hard for, the trophies, anything. You got to work for it. Now, Sak Yant.
Oh.
Yeah, Sak Yant.
If I go quiet here, it's just because I don't want to answer.
Okay, Sak Yant. I've got him. You've got him. We've both been to proper ajans. We've done our research. I've spoken to Pinky about this. What do you think about the new generation, or not even the new generation?
Muay Thai tattoos.
Muay Thai stickers. Muay Thai stickers.
Look, if people, my good friends know me, and I remember my first trainer, Malcolm Anderson, saying to me when I got my first tattoo on my back was a dragon, and then my second tattoo was that there, the armband. And he said to me, "You'll be covered by the time you're 40." Man, he wasn't far from it, because I get it can become an addiction, the pain and the different, like the feelings that it brings and the places it takes you. But when it comes to Sak Yant, I get disappointed. I get disappointed that no one stops people and says, "Hey, have you ever thought this? You're making a commitment to a master that has done this his whole life, or majority of his life, and it's like people don't understand. That means every year at the White Crew, you have to dump money in an envelope, bang, and give it to him. Yeah. Since the day I got my first Sak Yant, I've never missed any White Crew for any ajan that's touched my body. And I believe that that's one of the reasons I've stayed lucky and stayed the way I am. Only a few days ago, I went and saw Ajahn Tiem. I went with Took, and we went for a bit of a drive. And Ajahn Tiem, when I went there, Took obviously is my interpreter and talks to his daughter and says, "Hey, my husband wants to go and sit and have a chat and I like talk about all this stuff." And then that Ajahn Tien sitting there building these clay statues, he didn't even turn around. He didn't even take any time, nothing. But then when he eventually had a little look, he must have seen the white guy and thought, oh, but then he looked at all my yarn, and then he wanted to have a conversation and you know, like probably just wonder why I'm covered in yarn. That then as Took interpreted for me, he realised he's one of his good friends, Ajahn Tong, was my Ajahn, so that passed away. So there's different. I think people forget if you can't, it's not. One master told me, a John said, I can paint a pretty picture on you, boom, 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 put the Kong in, you've got magic. But the minute you do something wrong or you break that master's rules or whatever, and people say, the rules are on the internet. Man, the real rules are definitely not on the internet. There's a starter. There might be the basic ones, but there's, each Ajahn has their own rules.
Well, there's different lineages, from Lana to the Malay Ajahns to the Khmer Ajahns.
Man, it's crazy. And if you ask the Cambodians, they say that Thais stole it in the first place anyway. So you're all running around with Cambodian tattoos. But the thing with Australians really pisses me off because they'll say, I've got the same yarns as you. No, bro. It's the master that applied it to you. It's the master that put it into you. That's what it comes down to. How strong, same as Thai boxing, I guess. There's a champion, and then there's a guy that's not a champion. Well, if the champion shows you something that helped you get to be the champion, it's a higher level. I don't know. It's a funny subject, but I feel like too many people just get it without knowing the commitment it takes for it actually to work. And I started with just a little bit of yarn. Each yarn, they say to you, hey, make your wish, whatever. Well, I would say all my wishes came true because I'm pretty covered.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I feel like it now it's just some people think it's like a rite of passage if you're a Thai boxer and you come to Thailand.
Yeah.
And now the thing that saddens me is they just do it in shops.
Terrible. If you aren't going to a summoner and getting tattooed at least there, or obviously Wat Bang Pra, places like that, you're destroying the whole experience and you don't even realise. But you're just doing it because you want to be like your idol, whether it's John Wayne, whether it's whatever Muay Thai fighter's got it. Man, you have to go through the right path to get it, or it's just a tattoo. And people can say, and if you say, that's hocus pocus or whatever, the amount of people, religious people, that have tattoos and say, but I've got a Sak Yant. Well, bro, don't your God not like tattooing? My God, I never had a God. I got to pick my own God. I picked my own gods. I went for many. But I believe a lot of people don't research these days, and then they wonder why they're having bad luck or whatever. Unless you're deep into it, you're never going to believe it. So you have to. It's something. It's a commitment. It's not. You're not just doing it to look cool as you fight. It's got nothing to do with coolness. Some of my best yarns and what I feel I get the best from are smudgy, old, dirty things but to me, they're the best things I've ever got.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved the whole experience of getting them my Ajahn. I was the first foreigner in Australia to get yarns from him, and now everybody gets them from him. So it's like
in that Chiang Rai, Chiang Mai area. All through there, man, it's gone crazy. I see Westerners do tours. They do Sak Yant tours, and I think to myself, man, what happened? So I get a lot of people write to me on Instagram and say, Nugget, and I answer one thing. I don't give a fuck. The biggest haters, I answer every single one I can. And if I can't, I send them to Matt Reed. I ask them to ask Matt Reed. I ask them to ask Pinky. Well, man, I'm not just going to stop someone and stop their journey of what they're looking for. But also, remember, when I came to Thailand, I had to fucking get in a taxi, go to all these places with a taxi driver that spoke this much English at the time and communicate. And it was I feel it was like a thing that I had to do to find what I was after in life. I think a lot of people are just, where do I go to get a tattoo like that? Like, bro, it's not that hard. You go look for it yourself. But they want the easy route to get there. Man, if people saw some of the places I've been tattooed, like they talk about hygiene and all that, man, like I've laid on the floor in many dirty places and it's never been a tattoo shop, that's for sure. It's never had lights and fucking,
It's very much like fighting these fighting these
Watered
days.
down.
Everybody wants the easy route.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go to the pristine top, the venues.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose we can start to wrap it up because I don't want to take up too much of your time. But one last question I wanted to ask you is, where do you see Muay Thai in the next 5 years?
Look, where do you see the world in the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Fuck, are we going to be here in 5 years? You don't know. There's wars. There's fucking.
See what happens with Trump in power.
Yeah, look at the. I'm not really a politics guy, but look at the fires.
Yeah.
Like fuck, man. When Mel Gibson's saying his house burned down, I know, that's pretty crazy. And look at. I just left Japan, and then they had earthquakes and shit. Are we going to be here in 5 years would be number one.
Yep.
Number two would be fucking, I hope the state of Muay Thai is in a better place than it is now.
Yeah.
Because if for Australia, I'm talking Australia, no other country, if it's in the same place it is now, fuck, no one's even going to look at it. MMA, the Eternal shows are massive now.
Yeah.
And they're doing shows like every weekend all over Australia. There's size keeping the boat afloat. I think the 1770 is keeping the boat afloat. Fucking man, that's about, I don't know. So it's I don't want to say too much negative because people are going to say, Nugget's just dirty because he doesn't go to the fight. Man, if I wanted to go to the fights, I'm sure I could find a few brothers to come with me and turn up and make a bit of a showing and give a few people a smile. But I don't choose to because it's that shitty now. It's that, man, I don't want to, I see better sparring at my gym.
Yeah.
I would rather get someone come down and pay Rocky money to spar a Muay Thai. But yeah, I hope it gets better. And I think with yourself doing all the content and that, with guy Andrew Parnham's doing a good job. Kieran's got a good gym.
Yep.
I'm trying to think who else. If everyone would work a little bit more together, and I know it's easier to say, I'm not involved in it as much anymore. But if everyone could just sit down and say, you know what, forget all our problems, forget this, forget that. Let's make fucking Australia, the Muay Thai, back to where it was. And even the fucking idiots in Perth, man, I'm sure Darren Kurovic would want to push the ball. He's been around forever. Blair, I know I don't speak to Clint Housen that much anymore, but I'm sure Clint Housen's still got the same passion he has for Muay Thai back when I was in Perth for a bit. So I think if all the states came together a bit more, and it goes back to sanctioning bodies, man, I remember an era where we all worked together, and man, that's half the reason Evo was so successful. We were under WMC at the time, but I'm not going to go into names, but myself, Joe Hilton, Paul Demacoli, Rob Fogarty, Richard Fogarty, me and Josh, Peasy, Mark Peasy of the Gold Coast, Mr. C. We all worked together. We all did show like bounced it off each other. There was like a unity a little bit. So I think.
Yeah, I think it's about collaboration instead of competition. You know, that's one of the big things. Like they say about business. You know, I read a couple of business books because one day I actually want to make money. But they say, you know, the best thing you can do is collaborate instead of compete with your peers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that's one of the big things that separates the different areas of Australia. You look at the lower East Coast at the moment, guys from Melbourne, Sydney, Canberra, they're all working together. They're all working together and helping each other. And I think that's what kind of separates Australian Muay Thai at the moment and the people who are doing really well.
Definitely Queensland doesn't work like it used to work.
Right.
There's definitely too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Right.
So I don't know. Will I be a part of like bringing it back together? I don't think so. Yeah. They're on their own there. But would I give advice if someone asked me? Of course I would. But I'm not going to go, hey, I'm here. You want the secret?
Remember me?
Yeah. Like man, I feel I don't sit. I don't even want to get it. I don't even want to go there.
Yeah. Well, Nugget, Mr. McNaught, thank you for your time, and I really, really appreciate you coming on to my platform and giving me your 5 cents about the different topics that I wanted to cover. And if you don't know Nugget McNaught, then you don't know about Muay Thai. So please like, share, subscribe this episode 30, Chok Muay Chats on the road with Mr. Nugget McNaught. Thank you, sir.
Thanks heaps, Joe. Appreciate your time, brother.